Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Always Aggressive podcast. I'm Hunter Massengill, alongside the head coach, Tony Ursuline. Tanner on screen today with no special guest, and then Corey behind. Well, you're a guest.
I'm not special.
Corey behind the scenes, as always. Thanksgiving this past weekend, had the guys over. How did Thursday and the rest of the weekend go for you?
It was nice just to take a breath and sit down and relax. You know, we've been on the road quite a bit, this November. So it was good just to spend time with the guys socially and relax. You know, it's always fun. You know, you find out what their families are doing or how they're doing it. It was a nice change of pace for us, and it lasted for about a day, and then we were back to the grind.
Yeah, it was the Friday, Saturday, the weekend after Thanksgiving. Did it go well? Everyone came back in a weight they were supposed to be in?
I was happy. I'm not going to tell you everybody was exactly where they needed to be.
My weight wasn't.
But no, I thought everybody came back, within range of where they needed to be. So, I know we laugh about it, but it's a real thing, right? You don't want to let your weight get out of control. It's going to make you pay later. But I was happy everybody came back where they needed to be, and they look to be on track as we, get ready to leave for Vegas. And I'm happy with where everybody's at, and they'll make weight on time and be able to perform well.
And you also got rid of the beard too.
I did. No shave November is
December's
over.
here.
December's here.
My son Mason was a little unhappy. He wanted to see Santa Claus.
Yeah, I mean,
on
no shave
Christmas
November
Day.
leads into Christmas. I mean, you could let it go through Christmas.
It's a December.
Yeah, I know, right? No shave November turns into December. You're right. It was getting a little scraggly. It was getting a little itchy. I thought I gotta get this off my face for at least a little while. You may see it return. Parker Phileas lobbies for me to just let it grow in March when we have Big Tens and NCAAs
Like
as well.
a playoff beard.
Yeah, we might bring it back.
I'd like to see that. It's always good, especially, we had the paintball outing a couple weeks ago. So being able to just be with the guys outside of the wrestling room, outside of a bus, outside of an airport, I'm sure it's nice just to, like you mentioned, just to kind of get to know the guys a little bit more, especially some of these freshmen that you haven't been able to spend a lot of downtime with. I'm getting them to come over and maybe get to keep an eye on what's on their plates as well.
Nah, it's less about obviously watching them as it is just hanging out and having fun.
Sure.
That's the nice part. We don't get enough chances to do that, right? Like your head is down and you're working so hard, throughout the year. It's a full-time deal now throughout the year that it's good. Just you get a chance to take a breath, and just enjoy everybody. It was nice.
Okay, well, I'm going to add in a little segment here that I just thought about.
Add in. I like it.
Add in a little segment here. Get to know the coach, Thanksgiving edition.
Would this be tangential?
It might be. We'll find out here in a second. Now, we've never done this segment, so calling it a Thanksgiving edition seems a little bit redundant. But
Post-Thanksgiving.
okay, turkey or ham?
Oh, I saw this, right? ESPN was doing this.
Did they do this?
Yeah, they did this. ESPN, I think,
This is a real thing?
Golick and Wingo had this. Well, it was involved all of the foods. I would go turkey.
It's really hard to screw up a turkey, though.
To me, if you think of Thanksgiving, you think of turkey.
Of course.
Right? Turkey and stuffing and those things come to the forefront of my mind. So I would definitely go turkey, although I love both. And if you said, hey, you got to kick something off your plate, I'm keeping ham.
That's what I'm saying.
If it's turkey or ham, it's one or the other. I'm taking turkey. But if you say, hey,
my man's a carnivore, all right, people. Don't take his meat away.
I'm a meat lover. I'm kicking something else off my plate, like maybe the green beans or something else. Right? So we're gonna keep the turkey and the ham. We'll kick the green beans off the plate.
It's like you got your fork like when you were a kid. You're just like shoving them to the dog.
We'll make sure Elaine doesn't hear that part. I don't know how we're going to do that.
She's not here today. We can all speak freely.
White gravy or brown gravy?
Oh,
that's a tough one.
That is a tough one.
Wait, what's the meat? I feel like that matters.
Yes. We'll see if you keep ham. I would say white gravy, not brown on ham.
I'm not a gravy
white gravy.
guy.
I go white.
That's me.
Okay. Cookies or brownies?
Brownies.
Really? Huh. Corey's got a look on his face like
yeah, I know.
He didn't expect
Listen,
that.
we're splitting hairs here. I want you guys to know we're splitting
that's
hairs
the
here in my
idea.
mind.
The
Right?
reality is he wants it all, folks.
Yes.
Give it all.
I'll give a shout out. my sister-in-law Tammy does fantastic cookies, and so when she sends me cookies, I'm keeping them.
Tammy, we're going to need proof. You can send them
That's right.
care
I don't
of Tony.
believe
Do you need the address?
I do not believe it.
Oatmeal butterscotch, please.
Oh, I love oatmeal scotchies.
But
That sounds amazing.
a good brownie, a good moist brownie.
That's true.
You can't beat that.
Pie or cake?
What kind?
What kind? Like, do you consider Boston cream pie a cake?
Well, that leads into my next question.
Now who's splitting hairs?
I feel like that's
know.
there in the name, though,
I can't
Tony.
split hairs.
Well, see,
I
when
don't have it.
when you go a deep dive into food, right? Like all of these other issues come up. I'm just telling you, you're splitting hairs.
Well, that's my next question: is cheesecake a cake or a pie? Because if whichever category cheesecake goes
Cheesecake's
into,
a pie.
okay, then I'm taking pies. But I mean, it's got cake in the name, though.
It does.
Yeah.
You just broke my brain.
Now I'm hungry, damn it.
We've got Vegas this weekend.
Yeah, we better talk wrestling.
We're getting back on wrestling.
It was
here.
tangential.
It was tangential, and you got to know the coach a little bit more about what kind of Thanksgiving treats that he
insight.
likes. Vegas this weekend, obviously a gauntlet of a tournament. Tanner can talk about who's all going to be there. I mean, the Big Ten.
How much time you got, Sonny?
Probably easier to list the teams not there,
Right.
as that are there.
Obviously, can't get away from the Big Ten. Wherever you go, you're going to have Big Ten teams to face. Ohio State, Minnesota, Northwestern, Nebraska, Michigan, and us all going to be there. So 6 of 14 Big Ten teams. Always a gauntlet every year, but like we saw last year, someone like Griffin Perriott goes out there, goes on a run, and comes back and holds his ranking most of the season because of what he did out in Vegas that weekend.
Yeah,
Make your bones.
You got to make the most of your opportunities. Right now, being in the Big Ten, we have lots of opportunities.
You
so
talk about this a lot.
A lot, it is. And that's why I love being here at Purdue. Like, you're in the middle of the fire, so you're going to see the best teams. You're going to know where you're at. You're going to know what you have to do, how to get better. And so I love that. But this is another opportunity where, man, you're going to see the best kids. And so those are tremendous opportunities. You want to make the most of them. Because, there might be some guys that are ranked really high we're not going to see again. It's why we had Arizona State in a duel, because I'm not sure how many of those guys we'll see again. So you try to find good competition that you may not see for the rest of the year. And certainly Vegas offers that opportunity, as well as you just listed a number of Big Ten schools, right. Some of who we won't see. I mean, Ohio State's not on the schedule this year, so it'll be nice to see them. Michigan's not on the schedule. It'll be nice to see them.
We pretty much had a dual meet with Michigan up at Michigan State.
Yeah, we did get to see them at the Michigan State Open. So it is nice that we'll see some of the teams we don't have duels because they're not on our rotation, and then at the same time you see a number of good kids that, as you mentioned, you come out of that tournament with a strong finish, you're going to have a solid ranking, that means something at the end of the year when you come to qualification criteria.
And these mid-season tournaments, and I mean we're kind of on the front half of it being mid-season, I suppose. But then you've got Midlands coming up in a couple weeks. These tournaments that you've wrestled a couple duels, you've had stuff like Michigan State Open, but you go to these tournaments where the talent there is incredible, and these guys are really testing themselves really early on in the season. Like I said, it's a mid-season tournament, but we're really on the front half of the mid-season. That these guys have to go out and prove themselves and wrestle all day long against guys that it's the quality of talent that you're going to have to beat if you want to compete in the Big Ten, if you want to compete at the Big Ten tournament, if you want to compete at nationals.
Yeah, I mean, if you look, right, you said Big Tens and nationals, right, and that's where we really focus on. I mean, it's not everything, right? Every duel is important. Every time you lace your shoes, I want to emphasize that. I don't want that lost. Is every time you have an opportunity to compete, it's important. Okay, but the format where the kids can really earn the honors they work so hard for are multiple day tournaments. So you want to be prepared for that. To go make weight, warm up, compete, have to go back to the hotel, get ready to come back for the evening session, warm up again, compete, and then repeat that. You want to have to do that a couple times so your kids have the opportunity to tweak or change or know what that's going to be for them.
Mm-hmm. We were taking a look yesterday at kind of getting a little bit of an idea of what the seeding will look like with some of our guys, which who they're going to see if they're able to win a couple matches. We've got a couple guys that are going to be pretty highly seeded. Is this something that the guys know? Do they look at the bracket a lot when it finally gets official and it comes out and they get an idea of, okay, obviously each match the match in front of you is the most important match.
Yep.
But of just kind of getting an idea of what this weekend has in store for them.
I would say no. Let the coaches coach and worry about that, right? That's a coaching thing right there. It would be my coaches coach, wrestlers wrestle, compete. And so I don't want them looking at the bracket personally, right? They just worry about the guy. We'll talk about, if there's something that maybe you need to know about a guy, right? You don't ever want to get so concerned about your opponent that your sole focus is just on him, right? It's always about you. But we might talk briefly about
scouting report never
hurts.
Yeah,
a light scouting. He leads this leg. This might be his favorite shot. We want to control this hand, or just very basic fundamental things. Beyond that, I just want them worried about getting warmed up, putting themselves in a good headspace, and go compete at a high level. That's all this is about. Let's not worry, because as soon as you start thinking, well, this guy could be there, he's not there. He gets upset. Now, does that throw you off, right? Just stay in your own good headspace and take care of yourself. And then when the guy who's ever there, hey, take care of that. So I don't like them to look at the brackets. That's something maybe as coaches we might look to see and scout a little bit.
I look enough for everybody.
Yeah, Tanner loves that stuff, so that's good, right? And that's his job, right? That falls under that area. So, but with the kids, man, just take care of yourself.
And the team, going into this weekend is as prepared as they've ever been. We've got 4 guys ranked in the top 10 going into this weekend, which, from what Tanner has said, is
I can't find
the
another
most
time
on record.
On record.
We've had 3 before. Back in 2011 was the last time that we've had 3 guys in the top 10.
And that was Luke Manuel, AJ Kissel, and Logan Brown were all in the top 10 right after Vegas.
Yep.
So
They made the
you talk about guys had good tournaments.
Yeah, you talk about guys going and making the most of their opportunities.
Yep.
Like that was the last example that they went out to Vegas, had a great tournament. I want to say both Logan and Luke made the semifinals that year. Mm-hmm. And I think Kissel wrestled all the way back after an early loss and did really well.
And to that point, Dylan Lighty, who goes into this week 39 straight polls that he's been in, dates back to December of 2017
when
he went out to Vegas, went on a run, came back from Vegas, placed, and got ranked. So Dylan Lighty's living proof, Griffin Perry, it's living proof to a lot of guys.
All roads lead back to Vegas.
It's Vegas.
5 degrees of separation to Vegas. Huh?
How big of is it something that you've talked about with the team yet? I know you guys leave tomorrow, of just how big of a weekend this is that they have in front of them.
No, listen, it's opportunity, right? That's why and these guys are used to it, because like I said, we wrestle in the Big Ten, so you see tough guys every week, and they're used to that. I think we're a very battle-tested team, even this early in the year. We've scheduled fairly tough. Michigan State had some very good teams. We saw some very good teams out at Journeyman, right? NDSU had some good individuals. Clarion had some good individuals. NIU, right? They've all. So I feel like we're battle-tested and we're ready, and so this isn't a big deal. There's opportunities to wrestle a lot of very tough individuals, and so hey, going in, I got to be on top of what I'm doing. I got to take care of everything I can do and go out and compete, and just trust that you're ready, because they've trained hard. I've been really happy with our training segments that we've had since our home duel. So there's every reason to expect to win and to do well, but you just know, hey, one match at a time, do everything right. Take care of my nutrition, take care of my warm-up, take care of getting myself in a good space mentally. That's what it's going to be about.
So while Coach wants to downplay this, I'm going to circle back, I'm going to do my job and talk about this tournament's legit.
Sure.
All right, when you look at this, just looking at the rankings right now, tournament rankings, right? We got number 3 Nebraska, number 4 NC State, number 5 Ohio State, number 6 Iowa State, number 7 Arizona State, number 8 Northern Iowa, number 13 Northwestern, number 15 Cornell, the Boilers at 16, number 18 Oklahoma, number 20 Virginia, number 21 Utah Valley, number 22 Minnesota, number 24 Virginia Tech, number 20 another tied for 24 Binghamton. If everybody goes, which they won't. Guys sit out. I already saw NC State's holding Renan out at 97. We're not sure. There's some other guys that are nicked up here and there. But if everybody showed up, 118 ranked wrestlers
in 10 weight classes.
Weight classes.
And I think the good middle ground.
The math is a lot there.
It's pretty good.
The good middle ground here between with what coach is trying to say, I think, is it's a good weekend regardless, because either one of two things are happening. You're going to go out and you're going to win, and you're going to be better for it, or you're going to go out there and you have you struggle, but you will have faced the talent that Tanner just listed, and either way, it's going to be a good weekend for a lot of guys.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you go compete. Like I said, I feel really good about the preparation and everything we've done up to this point. So all we're asking them to now is go compete.
Go
Be
show
yourself.
up.
Do what you do.
But show up.
Yeah, show up and wrestle hard. And I have faith, and I know they do. They're a very confident group that they'll do well. You know, there's an expectation that they're going to get their hand raised and that they're able to compete at a really high level. So I don't worry about that. It's just, hey, but you will get out of sync if you try to look at the field in general and figure this whole thing out before you get there. Like, all you need to worry about is making weight on time, going through your warm-up routine, putting yourself, like I said, in a good emotional space, and then go compete hard. You know, you'll get out of sync if you make it any more than that. And that's where we really try to focus.
That's what I was going to say is the moment's big, but you can't let the moment be bigger than you can handle, right? Like, if you walk out on the 50-yard line and go, oh, my God, I'm in the Super Bowl, you're going to lose.
Yep.
It has to be just another game.
Right.
Holy smokes, how did we get here?
Yeah. Well, you know, and part of it, too, is putting yourself there every day. You know, it takes maturity to understand that. Like, every day we end basically every go with a sudden death or a scoring situation. There has to be points to score so that you learn that. You know, I mean, you want to be there 1,000 times before March hits, so that, okay, I've been here every day in practice. Every go, I'm asked to score at the end, so that, you know, you've seen it all. You've had to deal with it all those situations. You know, I'm feeling good. I'm not feeling good. You know, I'm a little beat up. You know, I got this guy who is going to scramble like crazy on me. You know, you've seen it all, and so there's confidence in that because you've been there. And so we always, you know, reiterate to the kids or reinforce that, hey, you know, this is important right now. Stand up, take a breath. You got to execute. Right? Do it. You know, don't wait on it. Take control. So it's just understanding that this is important. This isn't get up and just go through this. This isn't routine. Like, you're going to be here again and again. You're going to be here at Vegas. You're going to be here at Big Ten tournament. You're going to be here in a tight duel, and you're going to be expected to execute. So you got to make this important and understand this is important right now. Execute.
How hard is it to get 19-year-old kids to understand that? Because that's something I didn't get at that age. That practice isn't just something you have to go through.
I still don't get it.
Every situation matters.
Yeah,
for a reason.
It's very important. It's hard, but you know, now especially the room is getting deeper, and with the number of ranked guys that we have, right? Young kids figure out pretty quickly that they've got to do something to be more successful, right? Because they'll lose all of those situations because guy like Leidy, who's battle tested, or Max Lyon, or whoever, Christian Bruner, Devin Schroeder, what could name everybody. They have to be tougher. They're going to get rolled. Like, you have to fight back. You can't just get bullied and then go away. Like, you got to stick your nose in there and you got to start fighting. And you might, lose a lot of those beginning, but slowly, if you keep getting up and getting in there, the tide will turn. You're going to win one. Right? And then you might win 2 and then 3, and now we got to have it. And you figured it out, or it'll be too hard for you. You don't want to suffer on that level, and you'll go away, right? And that can happen too. Yep. We've all seen in the sport a lot of good kids in a room, and boy, what happened to him? Well, he, whatever. So
he wasn't up for it.
He wasn't up for it. So there's a lot of suffering, and it takes toughness and it takes discipline. But you got to figure out that if I want success on this level, boy, there's a lot of suffering, and there's a lot of I got to make those moments important in practice. Can't just be when I get out there I'm going to figure it out because now it's win or lose. No, this happens a long time ahead of that.
And it's an iron sharpens iron type situation where you've got 4 guys ranked in the top 10. You've got a few other ranked guys as well. I mean, like you mentioned, the room's getting deeper and deeper. These guys are having to face that talent similar to what these guys are going to go do in Las Vegas. A lot of these guys are doing it every single day in the wrestling room and making these younger guys, the guys that are the next in line, a lot better every day because they have to face these guys.
And we talked about that yesterday in the staff meeting about how you pull the new guys along with you. You get these guys, these veterans in the room. You get a guy like a Dylan Leidy, a Christian Bruner, a Devin Schroeder, or Griffin Perry, these kids who have been on campus for 4 or 5 years, and they've earned some of these accolades and some of these rankings, and they're pulling some of these younger kids along with them. And it's, AJ was talking about it a little bit as far as grab a young guy, come make him do the hard work with you, because then he can teach. Then when he's the older guy, he can grab the next young guy and teach them, and that's how you build the culture. That's how it.
Yeah, it
that's
starts to feed itself, right? I mean, that's the thing. Eventually it should feed itself, because if there's great buy-in from everybody in the team, as those young guys come in who don't know, right? And I wouldn't expect them to understand how to win a national title. They've never done it, at the collegiate level. So, but you've got to have guys who can show them, coaches who can show them. And I also would say that besides the guys on our team, who I think have embraced a strong leadership role, a lot of the credit has to go to guys like, AJ Shop and Jake Soufflone and Coach Vega and even Daniel Lewis, who's in there every day. Right before I came up here, Daniel was down with Christian Bruner, going through that. So it's those moments where those guys are showing those guys what it's going to take, and that's important.
Well, on top of all this, we've got finals week next week, which is something that's I'm sure is on your mind. It's obviously
student athletes,
right? On the guys' mind as well. So you've got this weekend, and it is what it is. Then they have to go next week into, some of them are going into their first collegiate finals week. Yep. Some of them are going into what's getting close to their last. Is that, I know you guys, your job is to focus on wrestling, but like Tanner said, these are student athletes, and some of these guys, you kind of have to help them along in that way too.
Yeah, listen, these kids are here for their degrees, right? That is still the most important thing. They are students. We're not a professional sports. Some of these kids will have great opportunities to make world teams, or say Olympic teams in the future. But still, your work life career is going to be much longer. So I always tell people, there's two priorities here. 1A is your degree, your education, and 1B is wrestling. Yeah. And we link them that closely because we're in the Big Ten and the bar is that high. But 1A is still the degree. That is still a big deal. And Nicole McKinney and everybody over in that area does a fantastic job. It gets reinforced by us. It's important to us here. That's been reflected in our GPA. If you look at our team GPA and where we rank, we're doing a good job there. But you can't just, it's like your culture. You can't just assume it's going to happen and fall asleep, with it. Say, oh, it's going to happen again. It's something that, man, you've always got to be on guys about and reinforce so they understand it's important.
And it's tough. Yeah. It's an uphill battle for a lot of people to be able to compete at this level and also do well in the classroom. I mean, Purdue, certainly not an easy school academically. So, I mean, a lot of the athletes, wrestling or otherwise, are engineers. They're in nursing school. I mean, they're in athletic training,
business, working on their MBA.
There's all kinds of degrees here that are so difficult that you have your full time. It's like you've got two full time jobs. You've got school and you've got wrestling that you have to commit full time to, and it's a struggle for a lot of people. No,
it's hard, right? And there has to be an adjustment period where kids figure out what they have to do to be successful. Just like we talked about in the room, right? If you're competing against, an older guy who's done really well, you're going to learn from him if you're paying attention. It's the same thing in school. Like there's an adjustment where you have to, okay, you might have gotten away with only studying X amount, in high school because it was easy. Right. But now, boy, if you're not, in working on homework or working ahead with your reading or those things, you're going to be behind, and that's going to be a problem. And so some kids, it takes till grades hit them, and it hits them square in the face. Like, yeah, I got to do more. And that's what you hope they figure out.
The similarities there between in the classroom and on the mat, as we've talked about before, especially a lot of the kids that you're recruiting, they're very good, and at the high school level they may be good because they're very just gifted, and then you move up to this level where you're going to have to put in a little bit more work than what you've been used to putting in. You're going to have to get into the weight room, work in the wrestling room. Same thing in the classroom where you may have been gifted to get you through high school and you didn't have to try that hard. Yep. Now you get to this point and all of a sudden your gifts just don't cut it anymore.
Yep. And that's why I would say, for us, I mean, certainly you look, let's, from a recruiting standpoint, you look for a minimums, right? Like from a skill set, they got to have a certain level of skill, right? You can't throw somebody into the Big Ten and not have a certain level of athletic talent, or even into a school like Purdue and have a certain level of academic development either. But the most important thing is it going to be important to them? If they really, they have a passion for achieving on the mat, they'll suffer through the hard work and the setbacks and the adversity of the injuries, those things. Same thing's got to be with their degree. Like, I don't expect that everybody is a 4.0, but man, if this is important to you, you'll find a way. You'll go home after going through a tough practice and you'll go study because it's important. And we always make things in life, right, for what's important to us. It's a priority, I'm going to do it. And so that's where we just want to make sure, hey, the degree is going to be important to this young man. They may not be as far along talent-wise or credential-wise, but if it's important, then we trust that they're going to work hard at it.
Got a funny story. It was a couple weeks ago, not to call anybody out by name, but we had just taped a show, and I ran into Dylan Lighty, and he had a sort of 1,000-yard stare going on, and I'm like, hey, buddy, you okay? He goes, yeah, academics are kicking my rear. Well, yeah, he's in first semester of grad school. He's being pushed in the classroom.
Kid's already got his degree.
Like he's never been pushed before because he already got his degree.
Yep.
He's working towards a second one. He's not just in a couple classes. And it was a challenge. And knowing him, he's going to be fine. And I'm like, dude, you're going to be okay. It's
another adjustment, though, right?
Like, exactly.
He moved up in levels again,
Yep.
right? Like there was an undergrad, which is tough, right here at Purdue. We talked about it. But now he's working on his master's level, and it's tougher again. So he's had to make the learning curve again. You got to figure out what you have to do to be successful. And as long as it's important to you and you're willing to do the work, those are the guys we like.
Well, speaking of recruiting, another guy that we can talk about, Cooper Norrie, making his way to Purdue out of Greenfield, Indiana, wrestling at 160 this year. He wrestled at 152 last year. Runner-up in state finals, lost in sudden victory. He's going to look to make another run again this year before making his way to West Lafayette in the fall.
Yep.
He's wrestling 160 this year. You expect him to be pretty close to that when he makes it here, 165,
Yeah,
174?
we recruited him with the intent that he was going to be 165, maybe 174 down the road, right? But 165 primarily is where we see him helping us and fitting into the program. Really excited. We feel like he has a really high ceiling. He loves wrestling. I mean, he's just immersed in the sport. Loves wrestling. He's a good competitor. Just a little raw, but when you put him in a really good room, day in and day out, being pushed and beat up, you know what I mean? He's got the right attitude when we talk about guys who will, want to achieve. They're willing to suffer. They're willing to push. That's how we see Cooper. We think he wants it, and he's willing to put in the time and the work to be good.
And an extensive background already. I mean, he's competed in a ton of Greco-Roman tournaments, freestyle tournaments, folk style tournaments. So just another one of those guys that side of the wrestling world is going to have to keep their eye on as well.
Yeah, no, like I said, you want to make sure they kind of check the boxes in certain areas as far as what they're able to accomplish. But the most important thing is he's got the right attitude. I think he's a tremendous student of the sport. He's a mat rat. You mentioned he's doing Greco and freestyle, and he's always competing. And so he checked a lot of the boxes for us, from the standpoint of he's a great kid, he's got the right attitude, the right work ethic, and we want to keep, those kids in state and close to the program.
Well, exciting to add another high-level talent to the roster. Hope everyone had a good Thanksgiving. Back in action again this coming weekend after coming off of an off weekend out to Vegas, and then next weekend have off as well before going out to SIUE, right? After that?
The 19th, December 19th, we got SIUE, and then we'll break for Christmas before another good test at Midlands.
Yeah, it's going to be a not so busy December, but there's going to be a lot of talent. I mean, between Vegas and Midlands, there's going to be a
very important December.
Very important December. If no one has anything else.
Hey, we're going to Vegas. I want to hear
Yes.
favorite table game. So if we're surveying people today, Hunter, favorite table game?
Don't bet on it.
Don't just stay out of the sports book.
Texas Hold'em.
You're a Texas Hold'em guy. Okay. Urs?
Yeah.
I never get any further than the blackjack tables, so, and I'm notoriously cheap, by the way. I'll just throw that out. I like the $5 table.
Yes.
You know, if the
Like the
$5
penny
table's
slots.
open.
So you're going to the casino on Wednesdays and Thursdays, not on Saturdays?
That's right. You know,
He's
and,
hitting the penny slots.
listen, man, I'm going to be coaching. My butt's going to be glued to a chair. So,
I hear you.
Hey, they got chairs
you know.
in the casino.
And they want you to sit in them.
Right.
Corey,
I'm a blackjack.
you're a blackjack
Yeah,
guy too?
I like Texas Hold'em recreationally, but if I'm going to the casino, it's
Nobody
blackjack.
else likes the craps table, huh?
Oh, I love craps.
No,
Too complicated.
I don't
love
understand it.
too
I
complicated, too
don't
much
want
going
to
on.
understand it.
Yep.
Yep.
You don't want to understand
For
it.
you simple-minded folk, I understand that.
That's
That's
fine.
not surprising.
That's
to me.
fine.
right. I'll stick with double A's.
That's it. Hey, works for me.
Well,
Works for me.
you got a full schedule to keep everyone occupied while out in Las Vegas.
Also helps that we're not staying in the
Staying
casino.
off the strip.
That's right.
The,
that makes
the
that makes
convention
life easier.
center.
My wife's happy about it.
I've got a quick. Yeah, I'll bet your wife and your pocketbook are happy about it. Quick question though. They do have slots in the airport.
That they do.
As soon as you walk off the plane.
So many.
You go to a tournament like this, and are you so far down the rabbit hole that you can't enjoy it?
No, well, so that's not a simple
Well,
answer. I think
You try not to, really.
you know. Listen, you're in Las Vegas. It's there's a lot to look and see. But
Oh no
between
no.
rounds,
I just mean the tournament. The tournament itself
Yeah.
is
Oh.
a phenomenal field.
I got you. Yeah, no.
You guys are wrestling fans. You love the sport.
Yeah, you are. You're so busy, and this year in particular too, right? Like some of those teams will go and they're not going to do real well, right? I mean, they're going to have a lot of guys get knocked out because the field is that deep. We've every year we've been getting better. Have guys in the finals, have guys placing high. So, and we have a very strong group this year. So I would expect that we're going to be very busy throughout the 2 days. Where I get a chance to watch more is when you get down maybe to semifinals and finals. You get a little more opportunity time between matches to sit back and watch a little bit. Those first early rounds, you're very busy and you're trying to get 10 guys ready, and it's just tough. So you got your head down and you're going. You might, like I said, late in the tournament, at least for me,
Okay.
is where you might sit back and watch a little bit more and see what everybody
There's
looks
going to be
like.
some great matches out there.
Yeah. As people who are wrestling fans will love it because there will be matches all over the place for those people to get excited about.
A giant convention center with I don't know how many they put out.
17,000
12 mats.
17,000.
No, I think it's probably going to be more like in
Eight.
the 8 to 10 range.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they add a couple, but it's
Eight's
typically
the
been
standard
8.
number.
Yeah.
Which can be overwhelming for, maybe some guys go out there and they're wrestling. They've got guys wrestling over here. There's whistles going on all over the place. Staying focused on your match
Yep.
might be difficult for some.
Always tell them there's a lot of whistles going on. Wrestle till the official touches you. If you have any doubt, right? If you have any doubt, wait till he touches and hey, break. Because like I said, there'll be a lot going on.
Well, good luck this weekend in Vegas, Coach. We'll have plenty to talk about come next week for the Always Aggressive podcast, I'm sure.
Thank you.
For Coach Tony Ursland, Tanner, Corey, I'm Hunter. As always, boiler up.